right, well, why don't we get started since it's 11 a.m. Like I mentioned to whoever was on earlier, we are recording this, so if people jump on as we're going and want to catch the first few minutes, we'll have it available, and I assume we'll probably pick up a few more participants as we go on, since it's 11 a.m. now. But everyone, thanks so much for joining. This is the first installment of Rocketbook Virtual Office Hours, kind of something we're testing out right now. What better time to do it, I suppose, since we have everyone virtually working and teaching and learning right now. So the way this is going to work is we're just going to kind of have this open forum to communicate with the Rocketbook community, hopefully answer any questions or share any tips that maybe people aren't aware of. Also, just a great time for us as a community to talk to one another, see how we're doing. Today's our first installment. We won't have too much of a format. We just kind of want to see how this goes, see what people are thinking, see what people are doing, see what we can work on, maybe get out there that could help the community in the future. So my name is Michael, by the way. I work for Rocketbook. There's a few other Rocketbook employees on here. I'm going to point out Peter in the purple shirt. Peter's going to be he's going to be taking care of that chat board. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in that chat. Right now, the group is kind of small, so we could probably just verbally ask our questions. But should the group get even bigger, we might just want to keep the questions in there for now. And then we can kind of communicate through that and call on people if more questions come up. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to pass it over to Maggie, who is our education ambassador at Rocketbook. A lot of you may actually know her from communicating on the Rocketbook teachers page. And I'm going to let Maggie take it from here. So take it away, Maggie.
Okay, guys. Hi, how is everyone? Well, my name is Maggie Robbins, and I am the educational advisor for Rocketbook. Prior to joining Rocketbook, I taught middle and high school math and science for 25 years. And my most recent position was teaching math and STEM at Westside Middle School Academy in Danbury, Connecticut, which is a one-to-one digital environment. All students use computers in class, and paper consumption was really discouraged by teachers and faculty. I struggled with how to teach my math students in this electronic world because, let's face it, folks, you can't type math. And I wanted to see my students' handwritten work. I knew there had to be a better way. And then one day, after searching and searching, I found Rocketbook on Kickstarter. I began by using the free PDFs, then the original Rocketbook Wave, and eventually the Rocketbook Core notebook with my classes. Rocketbook's products are used with the free PDF scanning app, and handwritten notes or math problems can be seamlessly sent to the cloud. Rocketbook's system, in conjunction with Google Classroom, allowed me to post classroom assignments and my students to submit their handwritten work really easily. Eventually, I incorporated the Rocketbook system into my STEM classes, and my colleagues began using them in science, LA, history, foreign language, art, and even music. So using the Rocketbook notebook proved to be a valuable tool in the classroom for blending this analog and digital worlds that we live in. In my current role as education advisor for Rocketbook, I support and train educators on how to incorporate Rocketbook notebooks and beacons in their classrooms. And at this particular time, I'm providing tools and tips to help teachers overcome the challenges associated with remote teaching. Through our Rocketbook Teachers Facebook page and Rocketbook's Medium page for educators, we have created spaces where teachers can share ideas, lessons, and experiences on how the Rocketbook system transformed their classrooms. So today is an open discussion, and feel free to comment on future topics for future meetings, and thank you, and let's get started.
All right, thanks so much, Maggie. Yeah, so like Maggie mentioned, in the future, should we end up doing more of these, which I think we will, we can certainly gear specific virtual office hour sessions around one specific topic. Maybe there's, we always kind of bring up like, oh, Google Classroom. It's not one of our cloud integrations as of now, but there are some workarounds, and obviously we know a lot of teachers do use Google Classroom with Rocketbook products. So maybe we could do one like that in the future. Any suggestions you guys might have, we'd love to also hear that in the chat box as well. I'm assuming a pretty good majority of you, since you found this, through our Facebook invite, probably already use Rocketbook products. We'd love to just kind of hear how you're doing it. If you'd like to just share kind of like what you're doing right now, if you're doing anything different than you've been doing maybe like 3 months ago before we were all quarantined, we'd love to kind of hear how your workflow changed. If you want to jump in the chat, we can maybe call on people. It might be a little bit easier, and just, if you'd like to speak, that would be awesome. We also know that we do have a lot of information out there on Rocketbook tips and tricks, but admittedly, it's kind of all over the place. We do have a Rocketbook Help Center on our website. Maggie mentioned the Medium page for educators. We've also got, a Medium blog post that's not for educators, which, kind of combines some creative content with some tips and tricks. So what we're trying to do is we also last week released a resource center, one for working professionals, one for educators, just with some tips on working remotely. So we do know that there's some stuff that might be kind of hard to find, so we definitely want to make sure we can help track those things down if anybody has any specific questions. So Beth said she's new to this, and how can I use Beacons to do interactive online whiteboard sessions with my students? I'm going to call back to Maggie, because I know that Maggie has a whiteboard in her current home office and some Beacons on there. So Maggie, do you want to take this?
Sure. So Beth, what I've been hearing from folks is they've been using Snapcast, which you can use with a Beacons or with a Rocketbook page. And students can watch as you go along and write on the board. They can follow along step by step. It's also great because at the end you will have a whole session of what you shared with your students, and it's been very, very well received by several educators. I don't know, has anyone else used this? Let me see.
Okay, yeah, so we just last week we posted a new article, which Peter put in the chat there. It's on our Help Center, about how to use Snapcast mode remotely and how to share it. It's when we first released Beacons in 2019, Snapcast mode was a feature that we thought would be useful. We, quite frankly, weren't sure how it would be utilized out there, and we've been experimenting with it a lot of different ways and trying to hear some use cases. This has worked out. This has been one example of how it can be used, and we kind of learned it the hard way through everyone being quarantined and working remotely. But like I mentioned in that chat, there's an article which will lead you to Help Center, and there's some tutorials in there. Definitely would love to hear if people start utilizing Snapcast or testing it out, or maybe using it in the real world, how it works for you. We'd always love to hear that. You can always email us, hello@getrocketbook.com. As I mentioned, if we continue to do these, we can talk about it in a future session. But yeah, utilizing Beacons in general, a great way to share your whiteboard scans, and Snapcast kind of takes to the next step where you can share that Snapcast link with your students or with your collaborators or with your coworkers, and as you update that whiteboard and you scan it again, that Snapcast link will update with every scan, and anybody who's looking at that link remotely on a computer will be able to see what you're updating on your whiteboard, which is pretty cool. We had a message here from Craig. Hey, Craig, you've been using it a couple different ways, using out the printable Rocketbook pages. So your students are or are not, let's see, they've been using the QR code to upload their work for class. So basically just having folks print out the free Rocketbook PDFs and then scanning them at home. We can unmute Craig for sure.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. My kids, I am in Houston, and I teach on the east side of Houston, where it's it's a very high poverty area, very poor. And we really don't have one-to-one where we are. And most of my kids, I mean, if you saw, it's pretty bad where they live, some of the areas. But going off of that, what we did was we're right now trying to pass out Chromebooks and get those out. But I've already trained my students even before, because the QR codes, we would take those, and anybody who didn't have a computer, who can't do the work that's on Google Classroom, they could use that QR code to upload their work. So that's helped a lot, because we've been passing out paper packets with our district, and they just put the QR code on there and then upload it. And I've been getting those a lot from my students who, they don't have a computer right now. They're in the process of trying to get one from the district. Sorry if you see a tail in the background, that's my cat. But it's really helped a lot, as well as the beacon, because I'm an 8th grade U.S. history teacher, and I use a lot of maps to show the progression of moving west. And we draw a map every Monday, every Tuesday, and that I usually will take a picture of it and give it to my kids, and they see the progression as we start moving. And that has helped so much on just them understanding different concepts of movement and moving west. So I love the beacons, and I like the fact that you can do double beacons to get a bigger scale for your whiteboard as well, and just been testing them out.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then, for anybody who doesn't have beacons that uses a whiteboard at home, if you have an orange dry erase marker, you can draw 4 orange triangles in the corner of your whiteboard, and you can put your Rocketbook app into Beacons mode and scan, and that will work. If you guys are, in that teachers group with Maggie, that we definitely, we love to hear about Rocketbook hacks. It's totally fine. If you'd like to test out beacons that way without having to purchase them, that's certainly a way you could do it. Something else you could do, which I think, let's see, Dennis is on. I saw Dennis did a great video. Hey, Dennis. Where he showed that, if you're unable to print out the free Rocketbook PDFs and you still want to have students or collaborators scan pieces of paper and send them somewhere, you can honestly draw 4 little orange triangles in the corner of an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper and have them scan it that way. It'll do the same thing as long as your Rocketbook app is in Beacons mode for those orange triangles. Beth asked if Snapcast will work or integrate with Canvas. Maggie, you probably are most familiar with Canvas, so do you want to maybe take that one?
Yeah, Beth, I usually use Google Classroom, but with Canvas, Snapcast really is a URL that you send out to the kids, but if you want to save the final product, you can put it in a Google Classroom, in a Google folder, and then attach it to Canvas. Also, you can try the share button on the Rocketbook app. I know right now we have a workaround where we can share a scanned page with a Rocketbook Google Classroom assignment. So I believe with Canvas, you could do the same thing.
So that's a workaround that we certainly have out there on our help center too. Peter, maybe you can share that article if you haven't already. How to share a scan to unsupported destinations. Again, I'm not positive if Canvas would be one that is on there, but it's definitely worth trying. And maybe there's a different way that you could send. Maybe there's a different app you want to send it to that isn't one of our typical supported cloud destinations like Google Drive or OneNote or Slack or Dropbox. I know a lot of people find that how to send a scan to unsupported destinations article helpful. Okay, Leah Apple said, before the shutdown, I was excited about Beacons. I routinely hold board meetings after group work, so students are presenting their work. I did have issues with scanning in the whiteboard products, especially if the board had a border containing triangles. Leah, I'm not sure I get that. Are you on still, Leah?
Yeah, I'm here.
Hey,
how are y'all?
Hi.
So I was using I was holding board meetings. So after we would do an activity in class, then we would have board meetings where we would go from group to group. They would have to present out on their personal whiteboards, which were about, I don't know, maybe 2 by 2 or maybe 2 by 4 whiteboards that I had cut out. And I was trying to use the beacons on the smaller whiteboards to document their work and to be able to share it in a Google file so the kids would always have access to that and they could look back and look at their classmates' thoughts or have evidence of those discussions later on. However, I had used on some of the boards like colorful duct tape and stuff to kind of jazz them up a little bit. And if the duct tape I had used was patterned, even though I would put the beacons inside of that, it would just throw it off and it would never scan in for me. So I ended up, going back to photographing instead of using the beacons. So I'm not sure if it was just, kind of conflicting with the pattern duct tape that was around the edges of the boards and things.
Yeah, it sounds like that probably was the case, especially there may have been some colors in there. Without seeing the actual board in the actual scanning example, I guess my only suggestion would be to, as close as you can, get the 4 beacons in the corner of the scan screen. I know that's not always the easiest thing, especially if you're in a larger room and you're not standing near the board. But so I guess my suggestion there would be just whenever possible, if your scan screen, the rectangular scan screen, if you can get as close to the 4 corners of the beacons being in the 4 corners of the scan screen, that might be an issue. But if you are having issues, we'd love to maybe see a photo of the board that you were working with. You can email that to us at hello@getrocketbook.com, and we can certainly take that case, specific case, and see what's going on there for sure.
So not an issue.
What's that?
Right now with the shutdown, and I'm really enjoying hearing all of you. So it's not an issue right now since we're not at school, but I am loving how y'all are continuing to utilize Rocketbook as we, are all working from home. So thanks so much for holding this.
Of course, yeah. Of course. Ken asked if there are any plans to integrate APIs into LMS, like Schoology. So as far as integrating APIs, right now, no, it's not on our current roadmap. We do understand how valuable that would be to a lot of organizations, whether it's an educational organization or, just any company that would like to. We do get the question a lot. There's a lot to it. We certainly would love to do that in the future. And we certainly recognize the benefits, especially for something like Schoology. So if you haven't already, you can always go to ideas.getrocketbook.com. And I'm sure it's already there, so you can just upvote that. But like I mentioned, we do get a lot of API requests, and hopefully something we can accommodate down the road.
And I just want to mention that anything that goes into a Google folder can be shared into Schoology. So at least if you start there, you can always share it to Schoology, share it to Canvas, share it to Seesaw, and your work will get there.
Okay, Craig had another question about creating a student-friendly understanding on how to upload to Google Classroom or other sites. This way I can utilize this for classes when explaining this to them in the future. Maggie, do we have that article written?
Yes, I will get that. I'll put it on the teacher's Facebook page. I believe it's there already, but I'll repost it on how to upload Rocketbook scans to Google Classroom.
Okay. And then Luke said a beacons hack. Place the beacons on non-Rocketbook worksheets and scan without sticking to them. Free scanner that still provides shortcuts. Yeah, love that, Luke. Thank you. So yeah, I did mention that, if you were, on a whiteboard and didn't have beacons, you could always take the orange dry erase marker and make 4 corners. You could also take little orange orange pen or orange marker and do it on paper. But if you do have beacons and you don't want to scan a whiteboard, you can put 4 beacons down as long as the surface is relatively clean. Like typically we prefer a white surface. If you have a white surface and you put 4 beacons down on it, you can certainly scan that just like you would a whiteboard. You can put the beacons right on the piece of paper if the paper is big enough. So definitely a good hack. Beacons aren't just for whiteboards, giving everyone the ability to scan other things, which is pretty cool. Ken had a question about OCR. With OCR, is there the ability to develop a custom page for multiple choice questions that can be scored when scanned? Okay, good question. Our OCR capabilities right now, if you're not familiar with the OCR, within the Rocketbook app, it can do a few things. It can transcribe your handwriting when sent to specific destinations. It can name your scan if you're familiar with smart titles. It can actually name your file, which is pretty cool. It also gives you the ability to search for your scans in the app by keyword if you scanned them with OCR on. We definitely know there's a ton of opportunity with OCR. There's so many cool things that OCR could do. Our most common request is to scan, maybe like the calendar page in our notebook, in our Fusion notebook, and integrate it into like Google Calendar or something. Things like Ken's question where, you can maybe create your own multiple choice questions and then scan it, and maybe it would auto score it somehow. Would love to do that. Not right now, not an option. Another great place to go to ideas.getrocketbook.com and post some suggestions. We do try to make the majority of our future decisions on what the most common requests are from the Rocketbook community. We know that OCR features, there's a ton out there that people want to hear, and we'd love to add more OCR features down the road. Okay, Chuck asked when we can expect to see WebDAV support in the app. It's been on the ideas page for a while. Yep, that's another one, Chuck. Yeah. Again, we don't have a roadmap where we can say it's going to be up by this specific date. I think that WebDAV was probably something that we were hoping to do in 2020. Although, as you can imagine, a lot of our focuses have shifted the last month. So we're always in communication with the product team. They again know the benefits that would bring to the Rocketbook app, but right now it's hard to say we have a date, but it's definitely something that's on the top of the list. And like you mentioned, yeah, it's been on there for a while and it's got a lot of upvotes. Rita from Wisconsin. Hey, Rita, thanks for offering today. Maggie, thanks for offering this. You're awesome. Not a question, but very true statement. Maggie is awesome, and she's also very responsive. So thanks, Rita, for joining.
Thank you, Rita.
There we go. Okay, so Susan, can students draw orange triangles on an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper and scan? Surprisingly, I have many students who are saying they don't have access to a printer. Understandable. I teach the university level now and off campus. Yes, Susan, if the students have the Rocketbook app and they go into Beacons mode and they're scanning a piece of paper with 4 kind of faux orange triangles in the corners, the Beacons app will pick that up. It'll be able to scan it just like anything else, like scanning a Rocketbook notebook page, can send it to a multitude of destinations or a shared folder. So that is definitely an option. So instead of buying Beacons, you just need to buy an orange marker, an orange pen, and that would definitely work on paper. Did you have anything else to add to that question, Susan?
No, thank you very much. That's perfect. That I'll suggest that to my students. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you guys so much for joining me. Yeah, we like I said, hopefully we can make this a regular thing and collect as many questions, common questions and requests, and tips and hacks as possible and share them in here. Okay, it looks like Dennis just shared that PowerPoint in the chat. If you'd like to take a look at that, it's definitely super extensive. Thank you again, Dennis, for doing that. Aside from the chat, does anybody have any stories of maybe like a recent kind of workflow change that, since everyone's had to move to remotely, that's been positive? That doesn't necessarily have to be Rocketbook related, just maybe something that you're doing that might be beneficial to everybody else.
Well, I have a tip. Maggie's tip of the day. So I think, parents are home and parents are struggling now, not with just being home, but with finances, and everything's crazy, and their kids come home with worksheets or posted Common Core stuff, and they're sitting there going, how do I help my child, right? So I think anything that we can do to help our parents, maybe throwing in a lesson on real life application, maybe baking with the kids, maybe throwing paper in a waste paper basket and figuring out the percentage of how many baskets you made. Or the probability of choosing a king from a deck of cards. Anything we can do to make it easier on parents, where they feel that they're accomplishing something with their child, I think is really important. Even let's discover the Discovery Channel together, like have them watch something on Discovery. So that's what I hear from parents is, they're struggling, and anything educators can do to help them out and have them, feel good about what they're doing is great. I shared a blog, and I shared with Michael that a parent was struggling because she told her child to carry the 1 when adding, and the child said, "What? We don't carry the 1 anymore, Mom." And another parent said, "Yeah, I told my kid to
How's it going? Good.
to borrow." And her daughter said, "We don't borrow anymore." So, parents are struggling with the new math and different things. So anything we can do to make it easier on them, throw a lesson in there. Family lesson.
I'm sure a lot of people are experiencing sort of like teaching from home for the first time, especially in their own home, and in any way to kind of break up the feel of being in a classroom, but you can still teach and give a lessons. That's a really cool idea, Maggie. We had a couple of people commenting about using the Rocketbook feature where you can send gift scans. Not sure if everyone's aware of that, but Peter did just post the article in there. I know that Maggie mentioned that definitely a great way to do a math lesson. Because if you're unfamiliar with what a GIF is or how to use a GIF, that article will help you out. But it's you can scan multiple pages or the same page multiple times and combine it into a GIF and kind of show the process. Let's see, what else we got? Has everyone? Peter, can you post a link to the remote resource center we posted about a week and a half ago? I know that we sent an email blast out, so I'm assuming if you're on the email list, you've probably seen it. But tons of great articles in there. A lot of good, kind of tips, and also, like I mentioned, some creative content just around things that are non-Rocketbook related as well. So if you haven't checked that out, definitely feel free to check that out and contact us if you have any questions. One thing that we definitely want to utilize this session for too is there anything out there that and we've had a couple chats here, but are there any like Rocketbook processes or tips that maybe need a better explanation or a better how-to video on? We're kind of in full-on mode of creating as much how-to and videos of kind of explaining how things work. Are there any specific Rocketbook processes out there that people think that we could do better about showing the process or showing the how-to? I know that the top of this, one of the first things we talked about was Snapcast, and we do have a help center article about Snapcast, but we're pretty close to putting out there a great article with Joe, who's our co-founder of Rocketbook, where he's kind of going through the best way to utilize Snapcast right now, just like a very simple step-by-step for anybody who's unfamiliar, which hopefully we can get that out there and people can share with anybody who's never used it before that might find it beneficial.
Yeah, I'll just say,
Go ahead,
Maggie.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, if anybody isn't part of our Rocketbook Teachers Facebook group already, definitely would encourage you to join. There's a lot of great things being posted in there. Different hacks about Rocketbook. Maggie is in there all the time giving awesome tips and tricks. So you can find it just by going to our Facebook page, and you'll see the group there. So, yeah.
And I'd like to add, if anyone would like to write a blog for the Medium page, teachers are always, they love to hear what others are doing, and it's a great way to share. I also wanted to ask, is anyone using Khan Academy or IXL or any of those formats for this distant learning? Because I think if you check out Khan Academy, you'll see that they have a whole schedule for students, and it's not just math; it's every subject. A nice schedule for how students can get prepared for the day, and specific lessons for parents and for children. So that may be something you might want to look at. And also another platform is Explain Everything, that you can download on an iPad or a computer. I found that if you downloaded it on an iPad, you can actually record lessons and save your videos and share it in Seesaw, Google Classroom, and Canvas, so the students can actually get a lesson. And it's a great way, you're going to flip the classroom. And that's a great way to get started.
Joyce Anna had a comment here. Google Classroom, doc cam to record me writing on the Rocketbook. I post the video to YouTube and scan the page to the classroom. Joyce Anna, if you would mind elaborating a little bit, we actually have spoken to a couple teachers who are kind of doing something similar. We'd love to hear your process, and if you're willing, maybe even share your YouTube lesson with us.
Hi, I'm a world language teacher, So we're in a unit where we're learning about places in the French-speaking world. So there's several steps in the process. So I have a video where I'm actually teaching. But then at the end of class, we always, when we were together, we would always write together a summary of what we learned. So I'm doing the anchor charts on the Rocketbook, and I'm doing these shared writings in the Rocketbook. So I have an IPEVO document camera, and I use their software to record me writing on the Rocketbook, and then I upload it to YouTube as an unlisted video. That way only my students have access to it.
That's awesome.
But I can share a video with you if you want. Do you want to put it on here or email it to somebody?
Whatever you feel comfortable with. You can always just email it in to us, at hello@getrocketbook.com, or if you want to share it here. You don't feel like you have to. Just thought it would be a cool example. Just so, do you scan the Rocketbook notebook at the end of the lesson just once, or do you kind of scan as you go and then share those scans with your students?
I scan it at the end.
Okay. And so they Okay, let's see. We got Maggie's blog in there. If you're unfamiliar, the Medium blog. I think the teachers group Andy mentioned, that link is there if you're not there already. Would love for you to join if you haven't already.
Has anyone used Screencastify? So Screencastify is a way for you to capture your screen. So let's say you created a slide deck for students. You can actually talk through your deck. Mm-hmm. And kids can even see you. So, you can start out your first slide, hey guys, this is what my family did today or did yesterday, and then go into your lesson. And you can actually just record your entire lesson right on Screencastify and send the students the link.
So anybody, before we wrap up and just kind of talk about, maybe the next session, does anybody have any additional questions? Is this something that people would like to join again if we did this maybe like on a weekly basis, and could maybe as Rocketbook creates some more content that we can share, hopefully people out there will also kind of share some stuff they're doing on. Looks, we got a couple thumbs up. That's cool. And as I mentioned, this is recorded, so if you're talking to someone that maybe you found some stuff beneficial in here and you want to share it with them, we'll definitely post this video in the Facebook teachers group and have it available on YouTube in the future so people can check it out. Have we explored the idea of a student planner Rocketbook all in one? Yeah, so so we definitely get a lot of requests for planners of all types, and year and a half ago we released the Rocketbook Fusion, which was kind of our first step into some customized page templates that we think could be beneficial to people's workflows. Now, sure, that was not geared towards students, but it was a good test to see how it would work and if people are using them. I think a couple things with student planners. One, what would the ideal templates be? So we're always looking to hear, is there one specific student template that everyone uses that's universal? Probably not, right? So then how do we decide the best ones to use? Two, what kind of functionality would the Rocketbook app have with those scanners? Do students need to scan those scanner pages and have it do something specific? Or is it just scan the page and then send a traditional scan of that page to a Google folder or an email? Would that be beneficial? Because if so, that's probably something that's possible. Three, has anybody experimented with kind of creating their own student planner, maybe on the pdfs.getrocketbook.com, the free templates? If you're unfamiliar, you can actually put your own template on one of those free printable Rocketbook pages and then share that with your students, whether it's for an exam or a quiz or a test, or maybe some sort of a planning purpose. We definitely would love to see that if you have. But I guess to get back to answering the actual question, we have explored the idea. We know how beneficial it would be. We would love to do it. A student planner will, of course, work with Maggie and figure out what the best, most universal template would be. So, check out pdfs.getrocketbook.com. Feel free to create your own and share what you've created. If anybody's unfamiliar with the Rocketbook Orbit, which is our latest product, it was on Kickstarter for about 40 days, and it's currently on Indiegogo. We can share the link if you haven't checked that out. We're experimenting with a bunch of different page templates there, which is, again, another step towards kind of customizing what an ideal planner would look like for people. So check that out. If you see something on there that you think is a good idea, we'd love to hear about it. If you think we're missing a universal page template that would be beneficial to so many people, please let us know. We're definitely always on the lookout for what could be beneficial to the most amount of people. Joyce, thank you. Joyce Anna, thank you for ordering an Orbit. We're really excited about it. We think it's a really cool product, and I think it'll be beneficial for a lot of different people. The graph sheet from Jaylee. The graph sheet, there is an option to print a free PDF. It's a paper, so you can't reuse it, but there is a graph template on that PDF stock at rocketbook.com. There's also a graph paper option coming out in the Orbit, so there will be some reusable graph pages. There we go. Peter mentioned that there. So a lot of good stuff in the future, but also we know a lot of good stuff we can still work on that we'd love to hear from you guys about. So yeah, so I think that kind of wraps it up. Unless anybody has anything else, we're getting close to that 11:45 end time.
Well, I just want to thank everyone for joining, and please join the teacher's Facebook page and check out the Medium page, and email me directly for any needs, maggie.robbins@getrocketbook.com. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to put those 25 plus years to work just for you.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, any other questions about anything whatsoever, you post in that teachers group, you can email us feedback or hello@getrocketbook.com. We're pretty responsive. We'll get back to you right away. Ideas, suggestions, questions, concerns. Hopefully we can help you out any way we can. So thank you everyone so much for joining today. It's been a lot of fun, and we hope to see a lot of you guys again next week. And like I said, please share this with people if you found it beneficial, and we'll get this actual recorded video out to everybody pretty soon. So thanks again. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, rest of your week.
Thanks,
and we'll
everybody.
see you again soon.